Good morning and welcome to week 3 of PA 212. Again, we're in your pharmacy technician certification exam review. This is week 3, so you should already have your book. If you don't, please let me know with an email because that should have already arrived. All right, this week we are in chapter 5 and 6, starting on page 60. A lot of your quiz is from these two questions. The discussion question, though, is going back to chapter 4, and we're talking about aseptic technique. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that since we didn't really cover it in our lecture last week. So I wanted to just give you what aseptic technique means. The technician must prepare a solution or an IV solution with an aseptic technique, meaning that there are certain ways that you need to compound or put together an IV solution in a way that organisms in the air or on your skin will not get into these medications. Any bacteria present in a parenteral solution, meaning an IV solution, can survive and multiply very quickly in bloodstream. Bacteria produces toxins such as poison the blood, hence the name blood poisoning. Cleaning the skin and under the fingernails will not necessarily remove all of those organisms from the skin. Therefore, it's important to wear gloves when preparing these products. Introduction of these organisms directly into the blood can cause sepsis, and sepsis is an extremely serious condition that is fatal in the patient if it's not treated early. So, an aseptic technique usually means that we are in the sterile laminar flow hood, and if you are in a hospital pharmacy, you will know what the flow hood is. In my classroom, we used to have a flow hood, and I used to get technicians under it all the time. It would be a great thing for you to really maybe look into going to a hospital and seeing if you can watch someone work in the hood. It's really, really interesting. So the laminar flow, because knowing how to clean the flow hood is very important. And it goes through that, how you do that in each of these sections from chapter 4, page 54. Okay. And it tells you exactly, bevel side up should be pierced with a 45-degree angle that goes into the vial. So make sure that you read through that. And the discussion's really asking why is it important. So we really it covered that with talking about sepsis and things like that. There's a horizontal and a vertical flow hood. You'll need to know why the difference and when you would use the difference. Make sure you're not coughing, talking, sneezing into these air hoods. That can cause an infection for people. And then it goes on to chapter 50 or page 56. Should the needle come in contact with clothing, skin, or any surface within the hood during the filling process, the entire syringe assembly must be discarded to eliminate the risk of contamination. And usually you are wearing garb, meaning you're wearing gloves, you are wearing a gown, you are wearing a mask, you are wearing a hairnet. You are all garbed up is what they call it. And so certain hospitals want you to garb in a certain way, so they'll teach you that when you come in as an IV flow hood technician. And a lot of my technicians really liked being an IV flow hood technician. They would want to do their externs, at a place where you could do that because they really thought that was neat. So make sure that you look into that when you're looking for maybe a shadowing experience to maybe look at a flow hood. Okay, so we really are in chapter 5 and 6, and it talks about proper storage of drug products, how it needs to be refrigerated, room temperature. I know you've talked a lot about this in your other classes, but make sure that you are reviewing that because that does talk about on the quiz. Table 5.1 on page 63 talks about where your refrigerator needs to be, where your freezer needs to be, and that you're watching those because a lot of times that is the technician's duty is to watch the temperatures for that. You're checking it multiple times a day and making sure you're writing it down. And then it talks about how if the label states this, then you need to put it where, and that kind of stuff. Calculating a daily dose on page 66 from a physician's order, you need to know how to do this. So if a drug says to be taken TID, I love how they put this out here. There's one tablet, meaning one dose, times 3 doses over a day gives you 3 tablets per day, and then how many days supply did they give you, or how many do you need to fill for a 30-day supply, that kind of stuff. You need to figure that out, because that is something that you'll do in your head daily, just to figure out very quickly on the spot what to dispense to the patient, and on the label is what it will do. So make sure that you know how to calculate the daily dose. If you're having problems with that, let me know and I can really help with that. It's a very quick and easy calculation. Okay, I'm going to go to chapter 6. It's receiving payment for good and services. It talks about a third party payer and self-pay. So the difference between a third-party payer and self-pay is that someone has insurance or they don't. And so the third-party payer will pick up a portion or a percentage of the patient's medications, whereas self-pay, they don't pick up anything, and the patient is paying all of that. They won't have a copay or anything. They'll just maybe get a discount from the pharmacy because they don't have a health insurance plan. And so it goes into detail about the different third-party payers. Medicare would be a third-party payer if they have that, and that kind of thing. Then you can also calculate the cost of a prescription. How is a prescription marked to sell? And that is talked about on page 72. Very short chapter there. 5 questions. Again, it's only asking you to answer the odd, but I would answer all of them so that you get a good review for your certification test. All right, I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.